Week 13 sleeper running backs. The first guy's Frank Gore of the New York Jets. Frank Gore, he's been playing well now, and now he's the man there once again in New York. With Michael P. Ryan being out a few ball games after going on the injured reserve list. So Gore last week, we saw a good fantasy game out of him. 18 carries, 74 yards, and he also added a few catches for about 25-30 yards. So yeah, Gore, I think it's a good matchup for him. Vegas, I know they got a decent defense, but they give up the fourth most fantasy points to running backs, and it won't surprise me to see Gore have anywhere from 10 to 13 fantasy points in PPR leagues. The Jets, they obviously don't trust Ty Johnson. He barely got any work in this one, so it looks like Gore's the workhorse, and he's a guy I have a sleeper. The second running back I like here is J.D. McKissic of the Washington football team. McKissic last week, he didn't do much because the game script had Washington winning. But in this game versus Pittsburgh, I think they're going to be down a couple scores early and often, where Alex Smith in this offense has no choice but to pass the football. And that's where McKissic thrives, catching the ball out of the backfield. We saw a few weeks ago, in 2 weeks, he had 29 targets. So McKissic, he's one of the better running backs, receivers out of the backfield. He's not a guy that's going to be in between the tackles. That's if Antonio Gibson to handle that work. But I think McKissic, he could be a sneaky play this week and have anywhere from 12 to 15 fantasy points if this game script happens like I expect it will, where the Washington football team's trailing most of the ball game by a few scores. So McKissic, I got him as a sleeper. And the third and final guy I have as sleeper here is James White of the New England Patriots. James White now, the last 2 weeks, he's come back on the scene and he's played well. White with 2 touchdowns last week in that ball game in the victory over Arizona. And now with Rex Burkhead out for the season, we learned last week he's going to be the third down back and passing downs back. Last week, he even vultured a goal line touchdown or 2. So James White, he's a big part of the offense again now. With the injury to Burkhead, it opens up way more work for him. I know Damian Harris is there, but he's a guy that's not a threat at catching the ball out of the backfield. So White, he's good to 12 to 15 touches possibly in this game. New England, they're going to be versing the Chargers. This game, I think, is going to be pretty high scoring and a back and forth battle. So White, I think he gets plenty of work, and he's a guy you could start at the flex, and you could get maybe 12 to 15 points as well. So that's 3 running backs I have as sleepers here heading into Week 13.